Good morning. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. The internet in here in my room is not very good, so I just put myself on my hotspot, and hopefully that works. So welcome. It is 7 in the morning here, but I'm still on Mexico time. All of Mexico is Central Time. That kind of surprised me, and so it wasn't so bad to get up early here to be with you guys. Today's topic is on creativity. It's on creativity. And, this has been a pretty easy thing for me. I'm ridiculously creative and always have been. And I've always been a bit puzzled by people who struggle to be creative. And because here's the thing, you guys, like in every single moment, we're creative, right? And I don't know what I'm going to say next. So just by our very being, in every breath we take, in every motion we make, in every word we say, in everything we do, we are creating our life as we go along, right? So the only way to be really blocked creatively is to be dead. Is to be dead because life is art. Our words, our voices, our motions, our steps, our bodies, right? Everything that we do is a creative expression. So I think sometimes people make creativity harder than it needs to be, harder than it needs to be, quite frankly. And and along the lines of what I teach and everything else is that pretty much what gets in our way in health, in creativity, in love, in experiencing an expanded spiritual connection to God is tension based from trauma responses, And if you are wanting to be creative, but you are blocked, that's just a certain tension somewhere. Somewhere that you're in some kind of trauma response and some kind of freeze in your field, and you can't work through it. You can't let it go, right? So very often, as always, like the answer is just to relax, and then you'll be able to do it. And so I want to share some secrets about creativity, about manifestation that honestly you could really go pay a lot of money to learn these things. I'm just going to give them to you for free right here, because it's not that hard, and yet not only do you have personal restrictions, right? You have ancestral restrictions, you have cultural restrictions. It's not just you and your little isolated bubble of being blocked. It's part of the game. It's part of like all of the traps in the matrix that stop us from moving along in the game. And I talk about, because I'm a writer, as you guys know, written 2 books and a master's thesis. And so I understand being blocked creatively and how hard it can be sometimes to do that, but to still get it done. And years ago, when I still had my restaurant, there was a fellow by the name of George Goodman who had been the music critic, like the jazz music critic for the New York Times for years. And he was writing a novel, and he used to come into my cafe to write. And he's a really brilliant guy. And I'd sit down and I'd talk to him, and he'd say, I was like, I want to be a writer someday when I'm in my 20s, like making cappuccinos for people. And and he said, he looked over his glasses at me and he said, writing is ass to chair. That's what it is. It's ass to chair. You got to sit down in your chair and you got to do it, right? So when I finally was tasked with writing my master's thesis and then my first book, I discovered that I had this problem that I called orbiting my chair, which was I'd sit down at my kitchen table to write, and I would notice that that the baseboards were dirty. I'm like, oh my god, I have to go clean all the baseboards, and then that would lead to like cleaning out the refrigerator, and or I'd decide that I wanted to make some kind of elaborate chocolate dessert with 17 ingredients. I would just basically like do anything and everything else. Like my whole house had to be spotless. Like every bit of laundry had to be folded. Everything I was like orbiting my chair. Like, what else can I do besides sit and write? Because I couldn't get my ass to sit in the chair. And it took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of practice. And most importantly, it took getting in the groove of it, right? Because I had been trying to write in dribs and drabs and bits and pieces, and it wasn't working. And I realized that I really needed to commit. Like I needed to block out entire days, no chiropractic appointments, no having to bring the kids here, like really be focused in order to actually sit with my ass in my chair and get it done. And I had to learn how to do that. I had to practice that. And so let's see. So I want to hear from you guys. Tell me, and don't forget, I'm gonna come back to the secret. Don't get me wrong, but I'm curious for those of you who are here and in the chat. Tell me about how you are creatively blocked. Right? What are you trying to do that you can't do? And just a little tiny note about your struggle, just so that I can speak to that directly. I'll come back and take a look. So I want to talk about manifesting. Manifesting is a word I don't really like. And also raising money to do things, because I think I'm seeing somebody says create a business. And I think that one of the places where we get really stuck around creating businesses or doing anything that requires money is that we think that we need to get the money first. Okay. Has anybody had that experience where you're like, oh, I want to do a business or I have this great idea, but I can't do anything until I get the money? All right. If you come from that mindset, most of the time, you will not get anywhere. You won't get anywhere because you will be sitting in inertia. And in inertia, in that waiting, there's no movement, right? There's no movement. So, and I know this is like maybe an oversimplification, but if there's something that you want to do, you have to do it. You have to put yourself in motion and act as if it is going to happen, as if it is coming. You just have to go along. And what happens is that as you start to propel yourself through space with momentum, with intention, with determination, okay, with velocity, just by the nature of physics, you draw to you what you need. Right? I always come back to Indiana Jones and going across that chasm, and like there's no steps. And he's like, oh my God, I just have to take a leap of faith and I just have to go. Right? And he steps out, and what happens? Oh, the step appears. Right? He takes another step and the step appears. Okay. That's how it works. You want to get from here to there, you got to go walk on air. You just got to go. You just have to go. The Lord helps those who help themselves. That's it. And then it will come, right? That everybody talks about, you take the step or you leap and then you fly, or then you're supported, or then, it happens. And it's really that simple. That Nike saying, just do it. And everyone's like, but I can't. I've got so many things on the way and I'm blocked. I'm afraid and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a million excuses that you can make. Every single thing I've ever done, I started doing the work that I do from like underground, financially, everything. Like I was in a big hole because my husband had been hit by a drunk driver, and then our lives completely fell apart. We lost everything and then some. And, really, and when our kids were little, right? So you can bootstrap yourself out of nothing. It's totally possible. but you just got to do it. And I did spend time, sitting around waiting for some, I wanted some benefactor, right? It's like winning the lottery and losing 30 pounds in 30 days. You're like, somebody's going to come along and give me money. Somebody's going to rescue me. That never happened. I had to rescue myself by just doing it. So don't, always look and be like, what resources do I have at hand? That's the way the game works, right? You have to work with what you have at hand now. Even if it's the smallest thing, or like, oh, okay, I can do this right now, and then I can do that, and then you just keep going, and then the resources appear. They appear, but you got to stay in motion, and you got to believe in what you're doing, right? So then the other thing that I think is super important in this, in this vein, around creating the life that you love, doing the thing, having more fun here, is a lot of times we think we want a business, or we want a partner, or we want money, or we want this or that because of the way that we think it will make us feel. Right? So we're not necessarily after the experience or the stuff or anything like that. We're after the feeling that we think it will bring us. Like, when I have enough money in the bank, or when my bills are paid, or whatever, I'm going to feel free. And that's a trap. That's a trap. Okay? Because that's backwards. This is an upside down backwards world. The trick is that you have to feel the feeling first. You have to feel the feeling first, and the feeling is what creates the experience. It doesn't work the other way around. Getting the experience doesn't give you the feeling, right? People say your vibration, your frequency attracts your experience, right? But I would say it's simpler than that. Whatever you're vibing inside is your experience. And that's just your experience. You go out in the world and you're feeling happy and expansive and generous and gregarious. That's going to be your experience. It isn't that you're going to attract those things. It's that you're going to be those things, and you're going to interact with people in the world being that way. Because that's all we got, is like how we feel and what our inner experience is, right? So if you want to be creative and get creative things done, you have to ask yourself, well, what does it feel like to be creative? Because we can manufacture, we are a drugstore, any kind of drug you can want, any kind of feeling you can want. You can manufacture. That's what acting is all about, right? I'm just going to act that way. And sometimes there's certain places where you got to fake it till you make it, right? And that can feel a little weird. And there's always a bit of a gap, before stuff really starts showing up outside you. So you kind of got to keep on keeping on being that vibe, living that vibe, until your life around you starts to reflect that. Because we're in 3D, right? We're in 3D. Things take time. There was a comedian at the conference I was just at. This wonderful woman named Nancy. I don't know what her last name is, but she was so funny. She was one of those comedians that had everybody practically, like, literally rolling in the aisles, like just constant belly laughs. She was so good. And she had this joke about, like, well, why do we want to go to 5D? Like, can't we just fix it here? Like, I like 3D, and I like having a 3D experience. This is cool, right? It's cool to have a body. It's cool to be creative. It's cool to do all these things. And a large percentage of people have been conditioned to want to reject this because there's a bunch of jerks here who are making it difficult or whatever. And so there's this sort of yearning to get away from this experience. But what if this experience is super, super cool? Right? She's like, can't we just fix 3D? I was like, yes, that's what I'm all about. When you die, you have plenty of time to be like, all the time. But you don't get to eat chocolate, and you don't get to have sex, and you don't get to drink cappuccinos, and like all the cool things that we can do here, hugs, right? So, this is good here. It's good. And the way to enjoy it is to figure out how to be the best version of yourself here and now that you can be, and to bring that into the world, right? So first and foremost, we're creating ourselves, and ourselves as, as a gift. We all have gifts. Every single one of us has amazing gifts to share and to give and to enjoy, right? And so, let's just commit to being here and making it great to the very best of our ability. Yes, there's dark forces and there's threat of nuclear war and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, a lot of it's blowing hot air. What can you do right now to make your life more of an expression and art of the beauty that you know is within you? Even in the way that you choose to lay the dishes out after you wash them on the drying table or in the drying rack. I used to build pagodas when I was a kid. I used to build pagodas out of the dishes. Right? We have moments and opportunity for play, for creativity, for fun all over the place. But we've been so burdened with fear and responsibility and that like all of that spark of joy and fun and playfulness and childlike nature and creativity is being sucked out of us. So I think the ultimate act of rebellion here is to be creative and fun. Really, right? And find it in yourself. So, all right, I'm going to come and take a look at some of your Oh, here it is. I'm creating an online program, but it took me a long time to feel comfortable with the concept and the target. However, listening to you, things started to open up and I feel confident. I love that. Right. So here I am hanging out, sharing my gifts. And what it's doing is helping other people, right? When you do the same, then you do the same. And that's, we're all here to help each other. We need each other. Creatively, even in my own creative process of writing, like for my thesis, I needed a thesis committee to help me, to hold me to a particular standard. In writing my book, I had an editor at my publisher, and I had other friends help me with editing. As a public speaker, I've had many coaches. As a writer, I started off getting in the groove of writing by going to college, where I had to write, right? So this is another really important part of being creative. And if you're blocked, you need help. You need help. You need someone to help you. If you're working and trying to do something on your own and you're getting nowhere, if your car went in the ditch and you're there trying to push it out by yourself and you can't do it, are you going to just beat yourself up because you can't push your car out of the ditch by yourself? No, you're going to be like, clearly, I need help here to get this show on the road. I need help, whether it's a tow truck or a team of burly people pulling over, like pushing me out, right? So this is another really important secret that most people simply miss. They simply miss the fact that if I'm spinning my wheels, I need someone to push me, period. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Just like if your car's in the ditch, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm so embarrassed that I can't deal with this myself. Like, get over yourself, right? There are some times where we just need help. And then there are some places where we need to show up and be the help that people need, right? So, okay. More confident sharing my writing. Indiana Jones reference. Yeah, I bring that one up all the time because it's so relevant. I mean, it's so true. It just is. It's like, you want to get from here to there, go. Just go, do it. And it's not as hard as you think it is. Yeah, you have to be brave, but life's kind of scary and you just need to be brave to be working. Leap of faith. That's what a lot of it is. A lot of it is how to attract clients for my healing business. All right, here's how you attract clients for your healing business. You be a good healer. That's how. It took me time. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of times people don't realize that opening up a healing business is not getting an office, decorating it beautifully, hanging a shingle, making business cards, and creating a website. That isn't it, right? The way that you create a successful healing business is that when people come to you in search of healing, that you help them, that you be a good problem solver. And you look at them and you're like, okay, what you got going on? This is what you got going on. This is how I'm going to help you. That's how I grew mine, and I had a tough road to hoe because I'm like the first person waving team forks 6 feet off of people's bodies in the middle of nowhere in Vermont in a poor, rural, conservative community. Like if I had advertised, people would be like, whoa. The way that I grew my business was somebody would come in, they'd be in pain. I get them out of pain. I go tell their friends. Right? Being good at what you do, doing a lot of stuff for free, quite frankly. Cast your bread upon the waters and it will come back to you. Done tons of free stuff, lots of pro bono, lots of free talks, right? So just getting out there, going to health fairs, just doing it, even and blocking out time in your schedule. And even if nobody, shows up, then maybe you give yourself a tuning, or maybe you spend that hour watching some of my videos, educating yourself. Right? It's about being committed to being like the best that you can be and showing up and just doing it. And I know that sounds simple, but it's also really important to realize that it takes time. And well, it can take time, but you can also get into a strategic partnership with a busy chiropractor. Go network. Chiropractors can love Biofield tuning practitioners, and they can be a great asset to each other. So strategic partnerships. My work this weekend, I'm in Ojai because I'm teaching the Sing the Body Electric workshop with the Brothers Corin, who are my creative collaborators. And maybe drop a note if anybody here is in that and was in class yesterday. What I'm doing with them is something I would never be able to do on my own, right? It's the triad of us that creates this body of work. So maybe you need a partner or two in order to realize whatever it is, because the sum of the parts is so, so important. And, if you don't know who that person is, then pray, visualize, feel as if. Whenever I've required a new employee or some other kind of partnership, I always make a list of all the traits that I want that individual to have. All the personality traits. This person needs to be like this, 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 and this. And I take my list and I show it. I'm like, this is what I need. I make it really clear. It's super important that we get very specific about what we want and need, right? Because if you go into a restaurant and you look at the menu and you don't know what you want and you can't speak specifically to what you want, then you're going to get bread and water. I mean, bread and water is great. I love bread and water, right? But a lot of people are living their lives just on the bread and water metaphorical experience because they have yet to successfully articulate and speak what it is that they want specifically. The word is creative. By our word, we create our life. Our electric voice interacts with the electromagnetic environment and creates. In the beginning was the word. All of life comes into being because of sound, because of waves moving through the ether, right? So if your thoughts are scattered and your words are scattered, then your experience is going to be scattered. If your thoughts are focused, if your word is focused, if your intention is focused, you part the Red Sea. Right? Don't discount the amount of power that you've got in your word. It's very, very powerful. And the more you honor your own word, when your conscience says, do this, and you do it, or you tell a friend, I'm going to do this, and you do it, the more powerful your word becomes. If you are lying, if you are saying you're going to do things that you don't, if you are kind of all over the place with uncertainty, if you're afraid, right? All these things are noise in the signal. If you're clear, focused, determined, off you go, right? Yeah. Need help, intergenerational trauma stuff. Totally. So here's the thing too, that if you're feeling really stuck and you look at your parents and they're stuck, gosh, you know what? You're running in the same groove. And what happens to us simply by the nature of the way the ancestral rivers run in the biofield anatomy is that they kind of hem us in, they keep us on a track, right? You will be a slave. I don't think any of us want to be slaves anymore. I think we're kind of done with that game. Pushing harder to make us even more slavey. And if we don't want that, if we want to live as free humans, which I do, all my friends do, I know you guys do too, right? And we've got to realize our full humanity. And we've got to get past, what was I talking about in another talk? The ego firewall of inherited trauma, bad programming, false beliefs, low self-worth, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's all just noise in the signal and bindings. So I am actually teaching a class with the Shift Network that's starting February 28th. And I don't have a link for it because I want to find it and I'll get it in the thing. But maybe if you just go to the Shift Network and look for it, it's an ancestral healing. And it's just 4 modules. So when they asked me to do it, they wanted me to do 9 modules. And I was like, guys, there's no way. No, it's 12 modules. I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm doing 12 modules. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that hard. Like healing is getting easier. It's getting easier because a lot of the heavy lifting has been done. And so I was like, I can do this in 4. I can do this in 4 sessions. We're going to work on the outer boundary of the field where we sort of popped into the space-time continuum and like what was going on in our family? What was going on in the world? What kind of false beliefs and trauma shaped you before you were even conceived? Then we're going to work on the mother's lineage and your relationship with your mother, the mother wound. And then we're going to work on the father's lineage, your relationship with your father, father wound. Right. And then when I was feeling into that, I was like, oh, and this is also kind of about the relationship between male and female, men and women. Right. That's sort of, and within ourselves, because divide and conquer, guys, divide and conquer. All right. So we've been inwardly split, and most people are an experience of self against self. If you're engaging in attack and defense with yourself, if your inner critic is like, then that sucks your creativity. Gone. I'm inwardly divided. I'm giving myself a hard time. I'm no longer enjoying my creative process, right? But also men and women is so sad, kind of what's going on with them hating on each other right now. That makes me really sad. Like this is something we really need to heal within and without. And so that sort of came up as a theme in this ancestral healing. It's like healing this male-female split and division and rancor that's present, right? And then in week 4, we're just going to share our experiences. We're going to bring up stuff that maybe we haven't talked about. I'm going to do a bunch of little mini tunings in that one, depending on what arises. So that will be, I hope, for people, as all of the trauma and the noise and the ancestral rivers becomes clear, right? That's part of releasing that ego firewall so that we can really connect into the environment and connect with each other. So hopefully some of you can join me for that. Yeah. Spiritual warfare is real and something we should not be afraid of because we are equipped. Gosh, there's nothing like a command of like filling yourself with light and God and making yourself a big bubble. I just had kind of an encounter with some dark energies, much to my surprise. And I was like, wow, like there's some really dark stuff going on there. And I really need to be consciously brighter, stronger, more filled with life force, more filled with God. And I can do that just with a thought. And so can you. So can you. And in that expansiveness and in that liberation, we become more liberated into the flow of our creativity. We just step into that river and then we live it. And then we live it. Yeah, boy, I feel like I could just go on and on and on. But I don't want to keep you guys here for an hour, so I suppose we should get to tuning. Let me have a little swig of coffee here first. Okay. Borderline personality disorder. Guys, I want to invite you to do something. If any of you have been given a diagnosis, I want you to take that and don't ever label yourself with their words again. Right? That is put you in a box. I have Hashimoto's, I have Lyme, I have this, I have that, I have blah, blah, blah. This person has that person is, whatever. Your voltage is low. You're inwardly divided. You're broken because it's a broken world, right? I've had all kinds of brokenness. You can slap labels on everything. When my son was 6 and he was in first grade, they were giving him homework. And he was so mad about being given homework that he threw a desk across the room. And he knew, as a kid, he knew in his gut that being in slave school and being given nonsense homework as a 6-year-old was bullshit. And he was like, I'm not standing for this. And they labeled him with oppositional defiant disorder. Like, give me a freaking break. All of it in some way or another is tension, is trauma, is brokenness, is low voltage, broken heart, weak spirit. Don't use their labels. Don't label yourself. You're a broken human and you're working on finding your pieces to get you whole, to get your voltage up, to get your signal strong in this game. That's really what it is. Healing is just reintegrating these lost and broken parts of yourself, your ancestral stuff, learning to love yourself, learning to take care of yourself, learning to respect yourself, saying no when you mean no, and being committed to getting your voltage back up again, being committed to getting more life in you. The tools are all out there, and a lot of them are free. Honestly, like pretty much everything that you probably need, you can find for free. You got to feel worthy of being vital and radiant and whole. That's the biggest hurdle to overcome. If you're suffering from this, that, or the other, you're suffering from unworthiness. Because you have to feel worthy in order to make taking care of yourself, your own healing, and your well-being a priority. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could call disorder. And it all to me is in the same bit of ridiculousness of labeling my son with oppositional defiant disorder. Okay? So let's try to not use those labels. Let's try to not use our own word to continue to speak their labely nonsense so that they can give you drugs into being. Drugs don't heal you. They don't fix you. They don't fix the brokenness of the spirit that this world does. But that's also part of the game. I'm so grateful that I got broken into a million pieces because then I had this game. Oh, I got something to do here. I got to put myself back together and figure out what's wrong, what happened, how I can be whole and vital again. And then that gave me the opportunity to help other people. And that's fun and feels good to help other people, right? Okay. My time goes by very quickly. All right. I had cancer once and I deleted that word from my vocabulary. Just picture how good my cells were and I'm free. I cured myself. Beautiful. My point exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, and I want to just say another thing is that we've been trained to give our power away, right? We've been trained to be like, oh, I have EMF sensitivity, so I'm going to get this little device and I'm going to put it on me. And this little device is more powerful than me. This little device has the power to block EMFs. Okay? Maybe it does, guys, but what you don't understand is your mind is a million times more powerful. We worship false idols when we say that this device or this drug or this pill or this doctor, that has more power than my own human amazing drop of God being that I am. Right? If I can help you to learn anything, it's how powerful you are and to recognize using your word to speak into this system of like making you unpowerful. Yeah. All righty. So basically, I think, every tuning ultimately is about, I like this term, the ego firewall, um, is really about dropping that, dropping it in shards and pieces and whole great chunks so that our inner just expands more. The more expansive that becomes, the more free you become, the more just you flow into the natural creativity of who you are, right? You get better at locating the resources. These are blinders that stop us from realizing the resources are at hand. I'm a resourceful person. I believe the resources are always at hand. I'm having to do anything. If I'm stuck anywhere with any kind of puzzle, I'm like, what resources are at hand, right? And they're there. That's the way the game works. Just look for the resources, implement the resources, solve the problem, keep going. Just keep going. So what we're going to do, sorry, my signal is breaking up a bit. Hopefully it stays strong as we do the tuning. I don't know what my mic settings are at. Hopefully it won't block out the fork. Okay, so let's tune for a few minutes. I'm going to go longer today. I guess I'm making up for last week when I gave you a 12-minute video. If you didn't see last week's, check it out. Super good one. So everybody close your eyes. Take a moment to breathe into the belly. Exhale down to the ground. Just notice how you're feeling, what you're noticing. Maybe make some noise on the exhale. We've been making all kinds of great noises and Sing the Body Electric. Speaking of creativity, I'm sorry I'm doing this, but I have to tell this story. Isaac and Torald and I created the sonic anatomy. We discovered all these tones that resonate in the body and demitones. And yesterday we taught class, and then we went out for a late lunch. And together, the three of us, we were sitting in this restaurant in a corner, and we're trying to figure out what the tones are for the shoulders, for the arms, for the hands. And so we're sitting there being like, do, dee. Just like, if anybody was close, they were like, what are these people doing, right? Well, we were being creative and explorative together, right? And in just a half an hour or less of playing and daring to suck and being strange and making strange sounds, we came up with 8 new tones. We figured out the spine, we figured out the nervous system, and oh my God, the tones for the spine and for the nervous system are so empowering. I can't even tell you. It's such magical work. I guess I'll give you one. I'll give you one of them because it's so, excuse me, I'm burping just thinking about it. It's so amazing. All right. And we can do this because it will help with this process of just kind of getting you into your body and into the core of your being. Right. And what's so amazing to me is that as we've come up with these sounds, they're all sounds that babies make naturally. Because what is a baby doing but hanging out, playing with their own inner resonant cavity and discovering what sounds resonate in them and what ones are good, right? And so the tone of the spine is goo. And if you simply hang out, goo, you can run that sound up and down your spine and totally feel it. And it gets you completely into your body. People that I've worked with who are like bipolar or schizophrenia, they have very different songs in the spine. This part of the spine sounds this way, this sounds this way, this sort of compartmentalization. That's why the spine slide with the sonic slider with a boot is so helpful. You're just running along the spinous process because it helps to bring the spine into all one song. So yes, we will get those new tones, all 8 of them in class today. And one of them is hilarious. I can't wait to share that one. Right. So this is the beauty of creativity, is that we bring things in the world and we have gifts and then we get to share them. Right. And enrich people and enrich each other. We need each other. I need you to realize your gifts and so that you can share them and enrich me. Right. It's the beauty. It's not selfish to be creative or to carve out your creative time because you're creating gifts that we all need. All right. Yeah. So play with that goo, right? That's definitely a good one. Okay. All right. Let's come back to tuning. Sorry for that little divergence, but it was a good tidbit. Okay. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna tune into you guys and anybody who's ever gonna watch this recording and just listen and see what are some of the things, asking the question, what are some of the things we're experiencing that are blocking our creativity? This 174 hertz. Okay, so a few things came through with that. One was just a sense of being small. Another was just fear, that fear of like, I'm going to do it wrong. I'm going to get punished. And people aren't going to like it. They're not going to like me, all that. And then the other one was just being burdened with a lot of responsibility. Just the burden of life and the burden of responsibility. And maybe some of you can relate to that, right? And sometimes when we're taking care of our older parents, or we're taking care of a maid, or we're taking care of children, or we're taking care of businesses, like freaking tired. And you're not going to necessarily drag out your paints or go write a chapter. So that's a big one, right? But here's the story in that is that don't forget that every single moment is creative, that you can be putting on fun music and dancing while you're making dinner, right? You can be I don't know, there's like a million small things, right? Even in a busy day of creativity, like even humor, finding the way to just laugh. Like, my hero is that woman Nancy and her comedy show. It's like, I want to make people laugh like that. What a gift. Even when we're in drudgery, that was what I took care of my dad for 3 years because he was in a wheelchair after my mom died. Luckily, my dad was funny, right? And we would make each other laugh. Like, yeah, it kind of sucked. I don't really help him in the bathroom, things I didn't really want to do, get him dressed, right? But we made it playful and we laughed a lot, right? So even in the burden and responsibility, commit to making yourself funnier. Like, how can I play here? Even in the smallest ways. That's creative. Right? Okay. I'm going to keep listening. So, for those of you who might be new to this, it's just your job to listen and see what you notice as we go. The sound will initially resonate with whatever is going on, and then it'll start to shake that out. It'll start to open up space. And you might find yourself wanting to wiggle and move like I do, maybe even more. This is heavy. This is like doom, gloom, like news, controllers. This is all the heavy stuff, right? It makes you just want to be like, the entropy, too much positive charge, just too much heavy shit going on. The way that you deal with that is you just get stronger. Get stronger. That's how you. What is heavy becomes less heavy. You should see how many groceries I can carry up the stairs by myself because I go to the gym. Right? Now, if I wasn't strong, I'd have to make 2 trips. So the trick to managing the heavy shit is to simply get stronger, breathe better, work out, love God, love life. A lot of it's breath. Yeah. Yeah. That's what the sound does. It kind of busts out those burdens, those blocks, right? Allows the life force to start coming up stronger in you. Make sure you're breathing. This almost feels like somebody's got your foot, like not letting you go. You're like, I wanna go, right? That like ball and chain or shackle. It's like holding you back. So let's just that the shackle on the left foot is an etheric artifact that I found on many people. So this next few strikes, we're gonna really focus on whatever boogeyman, whatever ancestral, historical, situational, circumstantial, whatever's got you and stopping you from so put your attention on your left ankle, left foot. Make some sound if you want. It's kind of like the inner critic, the inner judge, part of the trap here. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You need to stay trapped. You're like, no, that's not what I want. Curse you. I am going to expand beyond all that. Radiance grows from within. It's like this light that expands in every direction. That's another trap. It's like, we gotta go higher. Bullshit. You gotta go out in every direction. You just try to go higher, you're not gonna go anywhere. Right? It's every direction. So when things really start to shift and move, I start to wiggle. And it's part of being free. It's just being able to kind of let that movement go through you. It's how we depattern and repattern. Depattern and repattern. If you don't feel like shaking or moving, don't worry about it. Because when I do it, I'm kind of doing it for all of us anyway. Yeah. Right? That's the ring of freedom. Move your feet around. Wiggle a bit. Right? Okay, so there's another, that feels better. But there's another thing coming up that I want to work on. Where's my fork? I seem to be missing a fork. And that I'm feeling it like right here, sort of on the top of the back. And it's almost like a monkey on the back kind of feeling, like something that's, like glommed onto you. That's maybe kind of like trying to drive you around, steer you, maybe not in the directions you want to go. All right, subconscious, who knows what it is. But let's kind of remember too that a lot of creativity really flows kind of out the throat. So if you're blocked just below that, kind of at the top of the neck, many people are, then that creative flow is not going to come out your mouth, right? So let's just take a moment to really feel into that. How do I choose which fork to use? I just feel it. I'm like, I don't, the big part of being creativity is that you don't like overthink stuff. Like, I'm just like, oh, I'm grabbing that one. It's simple. Just feel it. Think it. All right. So here we go. Top, just below the neck in the back. It's 528. Thin and pinched, full of excuses. Right now, what's really interesting is energy leaves there, it goes down the arms. So much of our creativity comes through our arms and our hands. Somebody was saying about how, that when your hands go numb, when you sleep, because of the blockages in the neck, in that part of the neck and spine, right? And it's going to be creatively blocking as well. And there's a lot of sound in here that wants to come out. Can you bring your awareness into that part of your neck and make a sound from there, whatever that sounds and feels like? Yeah. If anybody's watching me for the first time, they're like, well, who is this crazy lady? But it works, guys. Like, I wouldn't be vulnerable to be this fucking weird with forks and sounds and wiggling if I didn't know that it actually makes a difference, right? It does. Song tone here. Fork is 528, David. All right, that one was a good one with that. Now we're going to come in for another one. I'm sorry I'm keeping you guys late today, but it's just the way it's working out. This is 417 hertz. This will be the last one. This works sometimes not easy to get a clear tone with. And this one goes into places where the other ones I just used didn't. Hey, yeah, and you guys can goo too. So make the kind of goo sound up and down your spine, goo in that part of the neck while I do these next few tones. Yeah. Really narrow and pinched, and as you goo, run it up and down the spine, feel it all the way down your tailbone, run it up, hold it in this area that we're working in. And just really resonate it, right? Open up that space. I'm gooing and it's helping. I'm so glad it is. Yes, I'm weird too. Good. I'm so glad we're all sitting here gooing, being weird together. Okay, let's just be quiet for a moment and let this work. It's going very deep. Make sure you're breathing. So part of the reason why I don't often pick up this fork is because it can sound dim and dull for a long time. And then I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, okay, we're almost an hour here and it's still wonky. But well, whatever, here we are. So let's just hang out with it. But it's really working deep. So it's going very dim and dull and small and limited, right? And that's how we're feeling, dim and dull and small and powerless. Fork's like, yeah, that's how it's going on here, right? And so what we want it to sound is bright and clear and open and alive. Right? That's how you want to feel. So fake it till you make it with me. And let's just kind of pretend and imagine and goo yourself into like feeling that way so that I can get the fork to a nice bright tone. All right, let's just see how that works if we all kind of like act as if. That's better. A wave of sadness, because yeah, that was what's coming up, but what's in the way is feelings. It's all those emotions you haven't let yourself feel. That's what it is. It's part of the ego firewall. It's like, oh, I can't express this and I can't express that, and I gotta hold this back. It's not okay to be sad, and it's not okay to be angry. So I'm just gonna cram it all into my body. And then I'm gonna live in my head. And then I'm gonna wonder why my life isn't the way I want it to be. My relationships aren't the way I want it to be. Because even if you're not letting yourself feel that sadness, is still there. You're feeling it subconsciously. So as we start to feel and open, those emotions come up, and it's okay. They pass. They just pass. Yeah, it's getting better. Spine is feeling way better. Okay, so it's starting to get better. Very often there's an opening and then a contraction. It's really normal to start to expand and then be like, oop, ah, and then start to expand again. It's a process. It isn't all like, ah, that's not how it works. We expand, we contract, expand more. Don't resist the contraction. It's just part of what is. Right? There's a good contract. The little fear and bull. We can't. I'm so small. Well, you guys are really like, there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of work happening in here today. And so thank you for those of you who've shown up and have hung with me through this. This is like divine appointment. There's a reason why we're here and doing this and getting this to release and doing much deeper work today than I've done in other ones. And there's a lot here, and there's a lot of emotion, but there's also, I can feel like a whole bunch of deprogramming that's happening in everyone, right? And so let's just take a moment to tune into everybody's here, 2, 3, 4 of us, 234 in this moment, but then thousands in the larger group who are going to listen, right? And so we want to include those people who haven't gotten here yet. And I want you to just see us all as points of light and support. Let's just support each other. So when we get in a circle and we kind of feed energy in the middle through our mycelial plasmic tentacles, we form a spoke and then a center of a wheel, and we send energy into that and then receive it back so that we're all helping each other, that it's not just me doing all the heavy lifting here. What's deep, tough stuff that wants to come up. It's like tar almost, and it's a lot for me to do, especially when it's like already we've been an hour. So just visualize that. See the group, thousands of people. We're all here. We're all sending light into this circle along these tentacles of connectivity. And as we give and receive and give and receive, we amplify the whole light equation, right? Their intention is freedom and creativity and love and fun and realization and the dissolution of the firewall that's between us and each other and nature and our potential. So just spend a moment with that image and visualization. And open yourself to receiving, right? Don't be a giver. Just give and receive with each breath, right? Receive on the in-breath. Give on the out-breath. Yeah, that's starting to sound better. Right? And the amplification, like when you're doing a tug of war and you right? You get that pulse going and you really get momentum moving. Yeah, see, it's much better when we all work instead of just me. I had to ask for help. Okay, big breath into the chest, the upper chest, really nourish that whole area that we're working on with light. Think about breathing in light. We've got all this light that we've just created. Breathe it into that spot. Breathe it into your whole being. Yeah, okay. That sounds good, and I'm going to let this be the last one. But we can keep working with this image, right, of supporting each other, of opening and breathing, of expanding. Tap in. We're here to help each other. We're here to help each other. And there's so many of us. There's so many on the karmic cleanup crew. They're always doing light. And I tell you what, when we meet in person, we love each other. I've had such good fortune of meeting you guys. And we're like old friends, when we get together. So you are all beautiful, beautiful tribe doing this work. And I'm super grateful for you. Thanks for hanging out with me and my weird fork banging and wiggling that I do. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that image is. Just take a moment, check in, and drop a note for me. How do you feel? What do you notice in your body and how you feel after we did that work? I've got a lot of in-person stuff coming up this year, so I hope that maybe you can join me. We're doing Sing the Body Electric live at Kripalu on June 28th to July 2nd. We're doing a sound healing retreat at Omega. My colleague Shamini Jan, Geraldine Glass, Isaac and Troll Corn, and this other friend I haven't met yet named Chris. I can't think of Chris's last name in this moment. And that's going to be like a sound healing smorgasbord of fun. So maybe you can make it to that, and other stuff in the works as well. I really want to encourage you that if you're feeling like you want to make it to some kind of a live event or some kind of conference that I'm at, like, don't let the money stop you, right? This is like that manifesting thing. If you're like, I'm going to go to this, just freaking do it, and you will find a way. If you believe it and you're determined and you're like, I got to make it to that. If you got to make it to that, you will make it to that. Okay? Just don't take no for an answer. You're like, I'm going to find a way. This is what we need. This tribe gathering, this being together is the food that our souls require, and magic happens when we gather together. We do have AM1 classes scheduled, and we will be sharing those within the next 2 weeks. So we've got a few in Burlington, we've got a couple in San Diego, and maybe one in Texas. So those are coming up as well. And I was stuck in the upper spine and couldn't move down the spine. It finally broke through and moved. Yay. My dream is to have a tune-up with you. Well, Anna, come see me somewhere. Maybe it will happen. I will not be at the Bhutar event. No, not this year. Feeling calmer, more centered, and connected. Yeah, that's how we want to feel, right? Calm, centered, and connected. That's where all the good stuff is. All right. It is 11:04 Eastern time. I'm going to let you all go. Thanks again for joining, and stay well.